Hello everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to National Graduate Week, brought to you by Procurement Media Group. For those of you who have not seen just yet, my name is Heather, I'm from Procurement. I'm joined by the team at the NDA Group. They'll be talking about the work that the NDA Group do, and they'll also be giving you an insight into their graduate opportunities. Before I hand over to the team, just a bit of housekeeping. There is a chat box on the right hand side of your screen. So if they've got any questions that you'd like to submit in there, please do, and we will run a Q&A session towards the end of the session. Don't worry about missing anything. The session is being recorded and it will be emailed to you along with any corresponding links and resources that we cover in the session as well. Hello, Ritu. But if there is anything that you need to know now, just do a screenshot because it might be a couple of days until you get the email. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to disappear, hand over to the team, and I'll see you for the Q&A.
Thank you, Heather. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the NDA Group Graduate Webinar. I'm Mandy Walker. I'm the People Skills Strategy Lead for the NDA. I'm currently seconded from one of our operating companies, Magnox, and one of my responsibilities is to lead on the Early Careers programme. So I'll just outline what's going to happen over the next 60 minutes. First of all, we're going to play a very short video. It's about a 3-minute video to give you a feel for some of the challenges facing the NDA group. Then I will talk very briefly about the NDA and the operating companies that sit below the NDA. Then I'll hand over to Phoebe, a member of my team, who will talk about the NDA Group Graduate Programme, the 2-year programme, and the types of roles that we're looking to recruit into in 2024. Phoebe will then hand over to our graduates or former graduates, and who will talk quite uncensored about their experience in the NDA group. So, and that's Stevie, Alfie, and Beth. So now we're just going to play our video. Should you have any problems hearing the video, please can you just drop it in the chat? So hopefully it will work smoothly.
Right, I'll just play it now. Like Mandy said, if there's any issues, just drop a note in the chat. We have had a few glitches this afternoon, so fingers crossed you can see it in its entirety now. Just pop your mic on, Mandy.
Would help, wouldn't it? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and it gave you a flavour of some of the challenges the NDA group's facing. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit more about the NDA group, the NDA itself, and the group of companies. So the NDA group was created in 2004 by the Energy Act, and the government tasked the NDA with leading a 100-year mission to clean up and decommission its sites. So quite a significant challenge. And just to put that into perspective, it's the largest nuclear decommissioning and remediation programme in Europe. So yeah, some interesting challenges for us. At the forefront of everything we do, safety is our #1 priority, and it literally underpins everything that we do. We've got 17 sites across the country, and that's growing, and I'll talk more about that later on. But as you can see from the map, that kind of ranges from Dungeness in Kent right through to Dounreay in the Highlands in Scotland. So, you know, quite a number of sites. We've got 900 roles across different types of roles across our group. And as you can see from the video, you know, we've got a lot of technical challenges. So we do employ a high number of engineering, technical, scientific type individuals across our group. But it's fair to say the mission could not be achieved without the support of our enabling functions, such as our HR function, our finance, IT, cyber, project managers and project controls type people, procurement and supply chain. So those are just a flavour of the kind of skills that we employ. Very, very broad organisation and lots of opportunities across our organisation. I'm now just going to go on and talk a little bit about the actual nuclear decommissioning group and the group of companies. So first of all, we've got, I'm not going to say any more about the NDA, but we've got Sellafield. Sellafield has got a long history, and Sellafield led the development of the UK nuclear industry from production of plutonium right through to the development of nuclear power generation. It's currently faced with the challenge of cleaning up its legacy of the site's earliest operations. And again, just to put that into perspective, it's got one of the largest inventories of untreated nuclear waste in the world. So we're constantly looking for innovative ways, you know, to manage that and do it efficiently and effectively. Magnox is decommissioning 12 of our former nuclear power stations and research sites. They're spread across England, Scotland and Wales, and their mission is actually to double in size. And you say, how will they do this? Well, they'll be doing that because they'll be taking the advanced gas-cooled reactors from EDF. So these are power stations that are currently operating, but as they move into decommissioning, once they cease generation and move into decommission, they will come across to Magnox, and Magnox will lead the decommissioning of those sites. Again, just to give you a flavour of some of the challenges, all of those sites, which were built in the late 50s and early 60s, 1960s, they're all slightly different, and none of them were really built with the kind of thought of how we might decommission them. So there's some really kind of quite significant challenges there. And then we have Dounreay, once a UK centre of fast reactor research, which is now being decommissioned. And they've also got some low-level waste disposal facilities there. Now, Magnox in Dounreay have currently just recently integrated, and we're currently working with our communications team to actually rename and rebrand those organisations. There's synergies between the two, and it makes sense that they come together as one. So then we have nuclear waste services. And how would I describe that? Well, nuclear waste services is really around ensuring we have the right waste it's packaged in the right way and stored in the right way. So really, really important for us. They've got sites in Cumbria and Oxfordshire, and their current mission is actually to find a suitable location for its geological disposal facility, which it wishes to build. And again, just to put that kind of into perspective, that's going to be one of the largest environmental and infrastructure projects in the UK. So a really, really big task, a growing organisation that's taken us forward. So, and then last but not least, we have Nuclear Transport Solutions. This is one of the most experienced transporters of nuclear materials in the world, which offers which has offices in the UK, France, and Japan. So, if you end up in NTS, you could be one of those graduates who spend some time in our Japanese office, and we've had a number of graduates who've actually experienced that. So it does offer different opportunities. NTS also has a number of other commercial contracts with the likes of Tesco's, where they move their products around the country as well. Okay, so I mentioned safety is at the forefront of everything we do. Working with our communities is equally at the forefront, and sustainability, absolutely critical to us and really, really important. And I just want to pick out a couple of things here really to highlight. If you look on the top left-hand corner, this is one of our former nuclear vessels called the Oceanic Pintail. And we were able, when that moved into decommissioning, we were able to 100% recycle that ship. And that was, we were talking about 3,865 tonnes. And personally, I think that's a great achievement. And then if you look down in the right-hand corner, we're making inroads to minimising the reduction in carbon emissions, and Nuclear Transport Solutions have made over 25% reductions in this through the use of electric traction. So equally, we're making big investments. The NDA group invested over £6 million over the last 5 years in postgraduate student sponsorship. So mainly PhDs, and in fact, we're currently out at the moment looking to sponsor another 50 this year. So it's a rolling programme of PhD sponsorship. So I'm now going to hand over to Phoebe. Phoebe's going to talk about our nuclear graduate programme and the content of that programme and the opportunities that we have. Over to you, Phoebe.
Thanks, Mandy. That was really good. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Phoebe Collister. I'm a business admin apprentice working in the HR team at the NDA. And so I've been here for about a year now, and I've been given actually the opportunity to complete my CIPD after my apprenticeship finishes. So I'm really excited about that. So I'll go on now to speak a little bit about the NDA Group Graduate Scheme and the opportunities there. So the NDA Group Graduate Programme is a 2-year programme, and within the programme you will sit 3 placements. So this consists of 1 12-month placement and then a further 2 6-month placements, and this is all within the NDA group. So you will also get the opportunity as a graduate to, as Mandy said before, we are all not based in one area, we are based all around the UK. So we've had graduates based in England, Wales and Scotland. So we've had graduates based in the likes of Warrington, Cumbria, London, Bristol and all the way up in Dounreay as well, which is the top of Scotland. So in the first placement, you will have, the graduates will have around 10 days of getting to know all the other graduates in their cohort, team building with them and also learning more about the programme and the nuclear industry. And then, something I didn't mention as well is all throughout the 2-year programme, you will be allocated a professional mentor. So they'll stick with you throughout the programme and they'll help you achieve professional membership of relevant institutes as well. So they're there to support you all the way. And then usually in your second placement, we will look at developing your behavioural and leadership skills. So here so you're given a budget, as you can see there, what to expect. So it's £9,900 worth of money invested in your core training and development. So most of our graduates use this money to put towards their professional qualifications. So the likes of our FAR graduates will go down the CIMA route, and the likes of our HR graduates will also go down the CIPD route as well. So I think I've mentioned, have I missed anything, Mandy, on them 2 parts? Would you like to add anything?
No, I don't think so. So you've got two parts to the budget there. Within the knowledge and skills budget, we do spend circa around £10,000 on those programmes. And then in addition, you have the £3,500 to utilise on your own professional development. So as Phoebe says, you can do certain professional qualifications that are relevant to your career pathway, or you can actually undertake professional training, and you can make that decision. So you're empowered to do the right things to support your career development.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Mandy. And over the 2 years, there is a lot of training as well. And then also on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see what to expect. So the salary is £30,000 per year, and then you'll get an additional £5,500 budget to spend on travel and subsistence. So that will support you when you're travelling to things like training, to pay for hotels, trains, planes, things like that. And then you'll also get 25 days annual leave plus your bank holidays, your 6 discretionary days leave for study and relocation. So if you do relocate, you've got 6 days throughout the whole 2 years to spend there. And also our graduates have, so they spend 40 hours, not all at once, over the whole 2 years of going back into the community to give back. So they'll go into places like schools and speak about the different opportunities and career pathways in the nuclear sector, and also their experience to inspire and to also teach as well, to teach everyone about the nuclear industry. And then last but not least, in the third placement, we'll work closely with the graduates to support them into a role within the NDA group. And then that's a little bit about the scheme. And then in terms of what disciplines we recruit into, so for 2024, we're looking for cyber and digital and IT, project management and project controls, human resources, procurement, supply chain, business development. So we have quite a vast majority of opportunities, and there is an opportunity for everyone. So they're all down the left-hand side of the screen there. So in 2024 and 2025, we're expected to have around 497 graduates on scheme. So this is around all the group, and 50 of those per year will be PhD. And then on top of that, we also have around 1,000 apprentices within the NDA group. And then, so this is the NDA Group Graduate Programme, which the NDA own. We also own the Nuclear Graduate Programme, which is still a graduate programme, but this looks at the nuclear sector in a more wide sight. So you don't just work in the NDA group, if that makes sense. So we work in partnership with Energous to run those programmes. So I've put their websites below. So I can ask Heather maybe if we can get these websites communicated out afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not a problem at all.
Great, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mandy?
No, I think you've covered it quite well. And as you say, you called out a number of key opportunities within the group. And we've kind of put all of the engineering and science jobs together, but that's quite vast too, from waste management, technical engineering, from kind of operational engineering through to kind of quite specialised, if you want to be, real specialists in the group. So, and then we've got things like radiological protection. As you can imagine, this is a really important role equally, 2-year programme. So they're all quite distinct in terms of the kind of development routes you take and the career pathways, but there's that core programme that wraps around these opportunities.
Great.
So thank you.
No problem. Thanks, Mandy. Just another thing I'd like to add, this is more of like my personal view as well, but I really, really think the programme is great because the work that our graduates are working towards and supporting with will last for over hundreds of years. The NDA and the NDA group, their mission will last over 100 years. And I think working towards work and supporting with work that applies to that mission is so special. So I just wanted to add that because I don't think many people know that really. And then another little bit of information. This is more in regards of the NDA group. We have employee networks, so everyone in the NDA group can join these networks. You don't have to ask, you don't have to sign up, you just click a button and you join. So as you can see there, we have an LGBT plus network, we have the Enable network, the Gender Balance network, the Race Equality network, and the Menno Hub network. So these are employee-led, and we also have leads sponsoring these around the group. So quite senior leads are on these networks as well, along with allies as well. And I also just wanted to mention that the NDA and Energus are also a disability confident employer as well. So yeah, anything you'd like to add, Mandy? No?
No, thank you.
Brilliant.
Okay,
great. Just checking. Okay, great. Well, now I'll hand over to our lovely graduates where they'll speak about their experience. So over to you, Alfie.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. So I've just loaded up this first image, which some of you may recognise as Sellafield, which is one of the NDA sites up in West Cumbria. Mandy alluded earlier that Sellafield is the biggest site that falls under the NDA remit. It's approximately 650 acres. There's over 200 nuclear facilities on site and well over 1,000 buildings as well, with the majority of those having been constructed in the sort of mid to back end of the 20th century. So I'll give some context around myself, and then I'll give some detail about my time as a graduate within the NDA. So I did my university undergraduate degree in town planning, and then I decided that I wanted to do a master's in construction management, and that then led me on to the project management and project controls graduate scheme. The reason I sort of wanted to go down that route was in terms of my previous work experience, etc. My main sort of coverage has been around construction and civils, but I wanted to apply within a nuclear environment due to the range of works that are ongoing on different sites like Sellafield. So I started in September of 2021 on the project management and controls graduate scheme. And over the 2 years, I had a range of placements, each seeing me work on a very different sort of work. So if you look on the left-hand side of this image, you can see a chimney that's got a sort of big top-heavy filter gallery on the top of it. So my first placement as part of the graduate scheme was working on the Pile 1 chimney demolition. Pile 1 is the reactor that experienced the fire in 1957. That was narrowly sort of a very kind of close event that the sort of radiological impact could have been quite significant. Thankfully, the filter gallery on the top contained the bulk of the sort of like radioactive material emitted. So that was very lucky that it was there. So yeah, the job was just decommissioning and demolishing that chimney. Unfortunately, as you can see, it's located right in the site. So you'd think typically if you're going to demolish a chimney, you'd blow it up or hit it with a wrecking ball or something like that and knock it down. But due to where it's located, that's not possible. So the kind of safety and radiological safety considerations around the demolition of that chimney were very important, and it ended up being all cut into small pieces in situ with diamond wire saws. To date, that top section of the chimney and the access shaft, which is that lighter coloured grey sort of clad steel frame structure on the right hand side of the chimney, have been removed. By the time that the diffuser demolition at the top had been completed, over 1,232 tonnes of material have been removed, all safely, all in situ, 130 metres in the air. So that was my first placement. And then my second placement, a bit of a change. I went into cybersecurity. So my time in cybersecurity was predominantly focused around the implementation of direct-to-internet web browsing proxy solutions, also rationalising legacy sort of databases that the company had on site. So kind of identifying where there were redundancies and where certain servers could be decommissioned and then upgrades could be made. So just in the first 12 months, you can see I've gone from demolishing a 130 metre tall chimney to cybersecurity in a nuclear context. From there, placement 3, I went into project controls. So project controls is predominantly focused around utilizing cost data and schedule data in order to contribute towards effective project delivery. So I spent 6 months predominantly focused on schedule management, so working with a range of integrated project teams to build up their schedules and maintain them, and just ensure that the project was being delivered in line with that baseline schedule. And then my final placement as part of the scheme, I went to work at a high complexity, high risk legacy nuclear facility at Sellafield. The facility sort of handled the receipt, treatment and storage of spent fuel. The main issue is this plant was built in the 1950s, and there was not much consideration around design for decommissioning or the extended sort of lifespan of this building. So the type of work I was involved in there was predominantly asset care and maintenance, just making sure that the building was operating to full capacity for the remainder of its lifespan. So I'll go on to the next slide and you'll see the difference is the chimney's gone. And the reason that I've put this in is I wanted to kind of highlight that as a graduate within the NDA, the work that you're contributing to from day one has a tangible and sort of powerful impact on the sites that you'll be working on. With Sellafield, the aim is to completely decommission the entire site and remediate the site back to essentially you wouldn't be able to tell it had ever been there. With things like the Pile 1 chimney demolition, every day I remember sitting on the train going into work and I could see that a new block had been removed from the top. And that was quite satisfying and empowering as a graduate, knowing that from day one, the work that you've been doing has actually made a difference. And I think that's kind of the message that Mandy was trying to put across earlier as well, as was Phoebe. We're at the forefront of the generation that's going to kind of push nuclear decommissioning efforts through the rest of this century, and it's going to make a difference to the UK nuclear estate forever. So I think it's quite an interesting opportunity. There's lots of different work to get involved in on each site. The range of projects that are available. You could work there for the rest of your life, changing job every week, and you wouldn't even see every aspect, because it is just so broad and there really is something for everyone. So I think if anybody's got any questions about that, we'll cover them off at the end. And thank you very much. I'll hand over to, not sure who's next. Beth. Fantastic.
Thanks, Alfie. That was a really good introduction to the NDA group and Sellafield specifically. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Beth. I am seconded at Nuclear Waste Services, and I come from a non-technical background. So my background in education is in psychology, and then I did a master's in clinical psychology. So on first glance, potentially you might be thinking that's not the usual route to find yourself in the nuclear industry. And again, I think from my slides, hopefully this will portray the message that really anyone can be working in the NDA group and the nuclear industry. As Mandy said, it's crucial that we do have the technical skills and capability, but also to be in the enabling functions is just as important. So I found myself in nuclear waste services and partaking in the nuclear graduates programme that Phoebe mentioned earlier. And I have done my first rotation in health and wellbeing. So I did that for the first 12 months of my programme at Nuclear Waste Services. And I've just started, well, about 2 months into my second rotation, which is in sustainability culture. So two very different contrasting things, but I'll speak about the differences. And as Alfie said, you really can be doing so many different things throughout your time on the programme. And you still wouldn't even have made a dent in that one operating company, let alone if you wanted to move around to different operating company sites. So the main experiences that I've had that have been particularly great and something that I really want to share was implementing new initiatives. Again, Alfie mentioned this, you do make meaningful impact on the industry and your operating company. So in the health and wellbeing team, there was at the time only one person that was leading on that. And as Mandy alluded to, Nuclear Waste Services is quite a large organisation, and it's now gone through that period of what Mandy was speaking about with Doomray and Magnox. So Nuclear Waste Services used to be two separate organisations, yet they've come together as their missions do complement well. So with this comes a lot of change, and with a lot of change comes a lot of potential challenges in people's mental health and wellbeing. So really from this, we were starting a complete fresh, and my line manager was so supportive in my own creative direction and what I wanted to do, or what my takeaways from my current education were. And we really got to work together for me to learn from his expertise and experience, but then also my ability to have fresh eyes on the industry, which is something that I feel a lot of the senior leaders really appreciate as a graduate. They really like the fact that we have new ideas, we have different types of working, and that will really drive innovation within the industry. So a couple of things I did was create a new way of data collection that was now proactive instead of reactive. So we really got to see the current areas of the organisation within their mental health and wellbeing, and we really got to challenge current ways of measuring health and wellbeing within the organisation and say, look, actually that is quite outdated, let's try something else. And then that went really well, and we've now implemented that. The next thing is conference and networking exposure. So I've had the opportunity to go to lots of different conferences and have a lot of exposure to networking, and this was really great for my personal and professional development, because you grow in confidence, you grow in knowledge, and you grow to learn a lot of people across the industry. And you'll come to learn that as big as the nuclear industry is, it's a very close-knit community, and you'll always, that one person that you meet and have a conversation with, you'll always see them again. And I think that's a great part of being in the NDA group. I have also had the opportunity to write an academic paper and travel internationally with NWS. So I am traveling to Arizona in March 2024 to attend the Waste Management Symposia with NWS, and to submit an academic paper to present in a workshop around how we are fostering a sustainable sustainability culture. This was something that I really didn't have in my plan on the programme. And again, it just goes to show that so many doors can open for you throughout your time. And being a graduate, it's so important to say yes to all these opportunities, because although this might seem a bit nerve-wracking and daunting, it's something that will definitely be something that I look back on in the future and be really, really proud of. The next thing is employee-led networks. Phoebe mentioned this in her slides, but I cannot recommend our employee-led networks enough. Particularly for NWS, we have a young person's network, and I got involved in this straight away, and it really, really helps you feel at home. It makes you feel like you have a group of people you can speak to that are not necessarily in your technical directorate or group that you are directly working with. You can again make change, make impacts that not just around your operating company, but also wider society, because ultimately the people that you're working with, they are still individuals that go home. So really making societal changes at work is something that is really special. And I think that not a lot of organisations do prioritise this. So there's just some pictures down below. And the learning and development opportunities are particularly great for a graduate in this programme, as you can become chartered in your own professional area, and you can also just look around, see what other types of learning and development you would like to complete and thrive in. So, for example, I have completed my mental health first aider training, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but wasn't financially able to when I was a student. So this is something that the NDA group has enabled me to do. And I've also completed a qualification in gaining awareness in the nuclear industry. So I think as a non-technical graduate, you can be quite nervous to not know everything. I was completely new to the industry and had no idea of what was going on when I first joined, and that is absolutely okay. And as everyone will support you in your development and your learning. And like I say, those networking opportunities, those natural conversations really help you learn. But the gaining awareness in nuclear exam really helped me to learn about the legacies that we have at the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority, but then also the new nuclear builds that are going to be going on from the government. So I'm just going to pass on. So just a little bit about why the nuclear industry. I think I've mentioned quite a lot already, so I'll try not to waffle on. However, the main thing I'm going to speak about is the mobility across the NDA group. This really is something that not a lot of areas or sectors can put forward as well as the NDA group can. The mobility that you have to move across different operating companies, as well as within your operating company to go to different areas, is immense and so amazing for your personal development and professional development, particularly as a young professional, but also for people that are older and later on in their career, because the NDA really do allow people to make those changes. If you're not enjoying something, let someone know, and then there's always some different opportunities or new areas that you could potentially be going into. So as Alfie said, you could change jobs every week and you really wouldn't hit anywhere near into the different types of opportunities that you could be doing. And just finally, contributing to changing perceptions. When I came into the graduate programme, I really didn't know much about the nuclear industry, yet from learning about all these different things that the nuclear industry and the Nuclear Decommissioning Group Authority are contributing towards, it helps me then have those conversations in my personal life, because it is quite a debatable topic, and I think it's really good to be educated in these areas so that we are best equipped to have those conversations from an academic but also professional perspective. So I'm going to pass over to Stephen.
Thank you very much, Beth. I'll just change the slide. Okay, so hi, my name is Stephen. I have a business studies degree and I've completed the cyber program. As you can imagine, before joining the program, I was not really from a technical background. However, achieving my degree gave me good knowledge around risk management and business continuity, right? Which is vital for business operations, and like Mandy has touched upon, enabling functions. So just a quick one. The main reason as to why I wanted to join the NDA group was because I wanted to work in a structured, organized environment where there is a great deal of direction and there is one main goal, right? Which is pretty much the common theme you'll hear most people talk about, that we all come together as a collective to work to one main goal. The other point was there aren't many industries where you can 100% say with conviction there is stability, job security, and like you've already heard about, 30 years or 50 years from now, the goal remains the same. There is so much work to get involved in here amongst the NDA group. So with that being said, I'm going to come at it from a little bit of a different angle. I'm going to talk about the risks posed to the industry from a cyber standpoint. So, there are many cyber risks that can pose a significant impact to the safety and security of the facilities and the operations across the NDA group. So, in terms of some of the key risks posed, they can either be, like, for instance, social engineering or phishing attacks, right? So this is where you'll have many personnel amongst the group that can be targeted via phishing emails or social engineering tactics to try to gain access to systems that are critical to our operations. We can also be susceptible to ransomware attacks, right, where the attacker may try to disrupt nuclear facilities or transport operations, or maybe try to encrypt or lock critical files. There's also the potential of nation state threats. So this is where you have these type of threat actors who may target our industry for political or strategic reasons. And again, these can be your more sophisticated attacks or multi-staged or multi-layered attacks, right? Using a variety of different methods or tools. And then you have like data breaches, right? So again, we have a lot of sensitive nuclear information here. So again, this is where we will look to try to prevent exfiltration of data and put measures in place around this. So the main reason as to why I bring up these risks is to just re-emphasize the point that we do play a massive role in addressing these risks across the entire NDA group. We do contribute to a real change that makes a valid impact. We are literally the driving force in terms of the nuclear industry and amongst the NDA group. So in terms of my experience, my first experience started as a governance risk and compliance analyst, right? This was making sure that everything was compliant and was more of the non-technical route. Then I went on to work as a SOC analyst, and I was fortunate enough to be placed at the GSOC, currently working as a level 2 SOC analyst. And the GSOC basically is a group security operations center that provides security monitoring for each of the operating companies that make up the NDA group. So essentially, we offer managed detection and response capability. So the work we do at the GSOC, again, is vitally important and is very interesting. And to be honest, I want to stress this point, which is no 2 days are the same. We will essentially use like a security information and events management tool, which will generate alerts around potentially suspicious activity. So the work I do is essentially to look for or identify anomalies and verify whether the event or the alert generated is legitimate. So therefore it would be an incident and requires some sort of incident response and active remediation, or essentially to determine whether it's non-malicious. In terms of my own experience, by being a part of the program, I've been able to develop my technical knowledge. So like I said, I started off really, from a business standpoint. I've been fortunate enough to get involved in training and development and obtain certifications. One of the ones that I'm working towards is ISO 27001, which is more of a compliance certification, but I've also been fortunate enough to undertake or I'm about to undertake a SAMS course, which is more around forensic investigation, that sort of thing. So to wrap up, the best thing I can say about joining the NDA group is it provides a lot of opportunities for development. And essentially, everyone has their own experience and background before joining the program, and everyone is very understanding of that. So they create a nice support network, and there is a network in terms of a wealth of knowledge that can be obtained from person to person, but more importantly, that everyone is, willing to share their knowledge and experience amongst all graduates, and to be honest, amongst everyone working in the NDA group. So that's pretty much it from myself, really, what I would like to say.
Thank you, Stephen. I think we've got about 5 minutes to take any questions that the audience has got. Heather, I don't know if you want to lead on this.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've lost my chat box.
Oh, don't worry about it. I've got the questions here. I can put it to you. I will just mention something now, though, because we've had a message put in around the commercial role for the Energis programme, and that on the website that it's not working. It says that the job that they're looking for doesn't exist, or is no longer open. What is that? Is that correct?
Yeah, we should have mentioned that earlier, actually. We're just about to go live with our vacancies for 2024. So although we've been attending a number of careers fairs as well, we've just been implementing a new system, a new application tracking system. So we've held back opening up the site, but that should be open in the next week or so. So there are two sites, the Nuclear Graduate Programme website and also the NDA Group website as well. So both will take you to the application process. So yeah, just keep your eye out. We will ensure with all the information that's sent out that there's a link, and there's no reason why we can't send you out a link when it goes live if we've got all of your details.
Wonderful. That's really helpful. Thank you. A quick couple of recap questions that kind of I think we touched on, but I think it's always helpful to remind everybody. There's a question just to kind of reconfirm the locations for the NDA that grads can work at.
Yeah, let me just, shall I just go back?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, basically we've got 17 sites and we cover England and Scotland and Wales, and it depends on which part of the organisation you're interested in. So, for instance, in Cumbria, Sellafield's obviously in Cumbria, but they've also got an office in Warrington. You've got Nuclear Waste Services, who've also got, I'm sure there's a quicker way of doing this, isn't there? Who've also got an office in Cumbria, but also in Oxfordshire. And of course, Magnox is quite broad. It ranges from, right through to the southwest, the southeast, England, Scotland, Wales. So it covers basically all parts. There's 12 sites across, and then you've got Dounreay up in the Scottish Islands. We do have offices which are in Bristol, Cumbria, Warrington, Dounreay, Harwell, which is the Oxfordshire site, Bristol, and a very small office in London.
Okay. Brilliant. That's a good representation, that as well, that map. So that's very helpful. Thanks for clarifying. Right then, John asked, are Masters graduates qualified to participate in the schemes?
Absolutely. That's a starter. So we're looking at a range. So let me start off. We are also looking to encourage people who've done degree apprenticeships, bachelors, masters. So the full range we're looking to attract into the range of opportunities we got across the group.
Wonderful, thank you. And Johnny asked whether there's any financial support for relocation. I know that you've definitely got those 6 days over the 2 years to support that, but what about the finance side of it?
So we've got, each individual's got a tier, what we call a travel and subsistence budget of £5,500, and that's normally to help move around. But equally, within that budget, you've got to cover the costs of the training you go on, not the actual training itself, but travelling to the training locations, although they will take place in different parts of the country. So, the £5,500 is not actually to pay for your rent, but it's to help kind of move around and relocate. And if you need to stay there for a few days, before when you're looking for accommodation, then that contributes to those costs as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And I will just make a kind of a shout out to anybody who's got any final questions, because I'm going to ask the panel now, the actual grads on programs, about their experience. And if there's any time at the end, if anybody else wants to kind of chip in with anything that they want us to desperately answer, please do now. But what I'm going to ask is for everybody that's been and is on program, what's the best thing about the scheme in your opinion? So I can see like pondering faces. Hands up, who might want to go first?
I don't mind. I can go.
Go ahead. Yeah, take it away.
So I would say the best thing about the graduate program is that you have a cohort. So it means you're not the only person. And so my cohort will be particularly smaller, as we've just had a big increase in the grad uptake. But I have 50 of the graduates that are all going through the exact same thing as me, but are have their own specialities. So that means when you go and speak to them, because you do have training weeks away, or with your cohort or a significant group of graduates, this means that you learn about the industry as a whole from so many different lenses. So from a procurement lens, from a technical lens, from a waste management lens, learning other people, but then also I can help other people learn about HR or sustainability or culture. And that also goes to say for relocation, my particular cohort have monthly wellbeing sessions where we all jump on this call together and we're all going through the same thing, and it really, really helps you in your a lot of people's first step into the professional world, and particularly the nuclear industry. So going through all that 2 years, you are gaining so much confidence and knowledge, but that breadth of knowledge is very much enhanced by the group of graduates that you're with. So that'll be mine, just knowing that you're never alone and you're always going through it with different people.
I think that's really important to know as well, just from a culture perspective. And also when you're embarking on something that's completely new, it's good to know that there's that, like you said, support network and community for you. So thank you. Alfie?
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, before I started on scheme, in all honesty, I didn't really have much of a clue about the UK nuclear estate, the NDA, any of the operating companies, any of the sites. So for me, I think when I started on scheme, it was kind of like my entry point into this sector. I think having spoken to people since starting working in the sector as well, there can be this perception that it's quite a difficult one to break into, or it can be a bit intimidating in terms of scale and complexity. But I think coming in as a graduate, sort of at the front end of your professional career, you kind of you get your eyes opened to all the opportunities that are available to you, I think. And just in 2 years, the amount of sort of contacts that I've made through networking, etc., different plant tours, visiting different sites, and different opportunities that have made their way to me just by working in the sector has been kind of invaluable. So I think it's just it's a really strong way to start your professional career as a graduate, because like Bev was saying, you'll be in a cohort, you get this guidance, you get the training, etc. So yeah, it really starts you off strong.
Brilliant, thank you. And Stephen?
Yeah, I think for me, to be honest, the key word is opportunity. I just think, there are many places where you potentially, join, you start off, and then within a couple of months, you realize that you're only going to be working on one thing, and it's just solely that thing. But within the NDA group, generally the opportunities is limitless. There's so much work to be done here. From my point of view, I think what I enjoyed the most is that, like I said before, like no 2 days are the same. It's always quite interesting. And I think just looking back on the last 2 years, the level of support provided by people you meet or your line manager is great, to be honest, second to none, because just to see how far I came in from the very beginning, again, not really having much technical knowledge, right? And this was my first exposure to this point in time now, is like day and night. And I think that goes into, again, the culture, having that support network, as well as just the opportunity. Like if you have a new innovative idea, nobody's going to hold you back, right? Everyone's going to basically say run with it. So yeah, that's what I would say on my side.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. Mandy, I can see I've just interrupted you.
We've got a question in the chat box. I've just got one question in the chat box because I lost everything else. And it's around, is sponsorship given to qualified graduates? And I would say yes. We do generally market our programme as those who've graduated in the last 5 years. But we are looking for job movers as well. So yeah, our opportunities are open to all.
Oh, that's really interesting. So kind of experienced professionals who are looking to kind of change.
Yeah, so we do take on quite a few first-time job movers. You know, perhaps they've gone into a job, maybe the career's not what they'd anticipated. They want to do, you know, switch over, do something different. So we do look to, you know, to attract individuals in those situations. And then I think there was another question, but before I lost my chat box, and it was about, I think it was around the kind of things that the digital kind of opportunities. So I just touch on that actually, because we're looking for graduates in digital, and that can be quite broad ranging. I mean, we are looking for the digital graduates also to spend some time in cyber as well, but they will be getting involved in things like, for instance, identifying and assessing the latest cyber or digital or AI technology, you know, with a focus on how it can actually improve our group's operations. You know, and looking to implement and deploy those. It might be involved in training people on those. So it's quite broad, the digital kind of AI type space for us. And, you know, it's fair to say we have been a little bit kind of lagging other organisations, but we're now on a really big drive to really utilise these kind of opportunities to drive efficiency and effectiveness across the group. So, yeah, this is a growing field for us in the NDA group.
Yeah, I think the opportunities are wonderful. And as Phoebe said at the beginning of the session, the fact that this is going to have an impact on society and you know, life in 100 years plus, it's so important and significant. You know, I think that in itself is so powerful. So much of the time people talk about wanting purpose and to do something that they're passionate about and they feel is making an impact. And, you know, the opportunity here and the passion from the panelists as well has, you know, really shone through. So, you know, thank you for showcasing it, really. I think it's been really, really interesting. And, you know, we've had some brilliant questions. I hope that everybody here has kind of got a real feel for kind of what the NDA group can, you know, offer and the opportunities available. Obviously, we've mentioned that the listings are going live. It's next week, isn't it? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It should be the end of next week at the latest, but we will, like I say, if we've got your contact details, we will send a notification to you all to say our opportunities are live.
Wonderful. Before I wrap up the session, Mandy, is there anything you would like to say before we go?
No, I don't think so, other than thank you all for coming along to the webinar, and thank you to all of our graduates and Phoebe, our apprentice. You know, you did a fantastic job, and yeah, it's lovely to be given the opportunity to talk to you all.
Absolutely, and I second that from a career map perspective. Thank you to you here, the panel, who've put together such a great presentation, and everybody here who's here. Laura Senecwell, thank you, and I hope you have had a really good time. Like I said, everything's going to be emailed to you in the next couple of days, so you're not going to miss out on anything. Thank you from Career Map. Thank you. You know, National Graduate Week is running obviously for the rest of the week, so feel free to have a look at the website and see if there's anything else that takes your fancy that you might want to attend. But yes, wonderful. Everybody have a lovely afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.